So I had quite a few little private messages about my trip out yesterday to collect some more bits and pieces from one of our clients, and we jokingly at Surrey Armoury call this gunbulance. You know, it's an ambulance for guns. So it's a secure collection, secure storage if you're going on holiday, if you have a renewal process going, you are moving house, or basically you kind of, for any other reason, your guns have to come out of your storage, out of your location. We can have them here. They get a light coating of oil, and then they just go into an individual locker that is suitable for your stuff in our magazine and in our armory facility. So yesterday's call out was quite a lengthy process. It was quite a reasonable stretch to get to site, and unfortunately, it was one of the calls that is quite difficult. It was property of a deceased person. So we come into this at a very difficult phase. It's already a very distressed situation, and then we basically step in and go, okay, may I have the keys, blah, blah, blah. We open everything, and we do it. It's a very transparent process. We lay everything out on a space. We then go through the certification, what there is of it, and then we sort of mark stuff off, going, yep, got all this. And then we take the stuff back to give it a evaluation. You know, the problem is a lot of people go, oh yes, my father, my father-in-law, my uncle, my brother, my whatever the relationship happens to be, had all these things, and they perceive that the value on some of this stuff is really, really high. But the problem is the solicitors in charge of the will and estates can't have them. The people who are directly affected by it can't have them. So we have to kind of walk not a tightrope, but we have to give a fair appraisal in the same way people do in the jewelry industry, or classic cars, or whatever it happens to be. So we have to be absolutely right in our kind of process of how we do this. And this video is more to kind of further explain this, because a lot of folks go, well, you've just taken the stuff away. Well, yeah, because number one, you're not licensed, so it has to come somewhere that it's secure. Again, with our storage solution, where folks go on holiday, or they're moving house, or they're having some other stuff done in their lives, that means that they're not often in their home. You know, our storage solution works really, really well for this. And, you know, it's quite straightforward. So what came out of yesterday's pickup, which I thought was quite interesting and kind of rare now, because you see an awful lot of historical firearms come onto the market, and a lot of them you look at and you sort of, the patina, the look, the feel, the coloring, some of it's not right. But this one is it's quite a remarkable piece, because it is a very old 1907 Lee Enfield Mk3 SMLE. It's in pretty good condition, considering it's the best part of 100 to 120 years old. The woodwork has shrunk a little tiny bit. It's probably because it's been stored a little bit too dry for its liking, but it is top to tail the same gun. Serial numbers here match. The serial numbers here, that match the bolt, and the Military Armoury brass plate also is reflected on a little scratch on the side, which is a set of numbers, and they kind of match up as well. The chap who's had this in his little collection has probably had it, looking at the paperwork, for in the excess of 40 years. So 40 years ago, these guns would fetch, well, you could probably buy them for about 120, 130 pounds. They were not really considered highly desirable. Now the market's changed somewhat, and something like this is probably worth, to someone who wants one, between $750 and $850, purely because we know that it matches. It's a very early SMLE because it still has the magazine shut off, which is also kind of a unique little feature, and I quite like it. So you would load off a stripper clip, choom, shut this down, dump, and then load individually. And if you needed a little bit of a rapid burst of fire, you would push that down, and that then gives you access to the 10 shots in the magazine, and you could just load it. And you know, it is a very clean piece. It does need a little bit of service, and we need to check what the condition is. But just having a quick look at the bore, this should be a good shooter. This should be a very good, accurate, historical bolt action rifle. So we might do a picture, a comparison video of this, because we also happen to have in our stock something that we were given a long time ago, which is it's the Enfield bayonet rifle. This is a practice rifle that has a retractable bayonet that sits on top. It's exactly the same dimensions as this, and I think the one we have dates from the same sort of era. So it would be worthwhile doing a show and tell of the two pieces side by side, and if it's something that interests you, please do pop a like down and subscribe to the channel, because we are hoping to make this a more kind of regular fact-based video series that is good for film and TV, general collectors. We're not going to go into the in-depth design stories. There's plenty of other channels that do that, but this is just it's a very nice, clean, tidy piece that, you know, has come to us for safekeeping for the time being, and I feel that we should kind of share some of this stuff with folks on the channel. So thank you very much for watching. More details down below. Website will have some updates on it as well, so do have a look, and see you next time. Bye bye.